Emily, thank you so much for joining me. It is lovely to meet you. Can you just firstly tell people a little bit more about you and how you started Her Game Too?
Of course. Hi, I'm Emily Drakeley. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of Her Game Too. So we're an international campaign made all up of volunteers dedicated to making all sports safe for all and inclusive for all. But we mainly focus on football, cricket, ice hockey, and rugby. So it's all started in 2021. Um, the founder Kaz came up with this idea to have a video of sexist abuse we'd faced as our time as female fans of the men's football game. So I was one of the 12 co-founders. I held up a piece of paper that said, "You can't talk, it's a man's game." And unfortunately, these comments were things that we'd all experienced, something that happened on a regular basis. And we were all either regular attendees or season ticket holders at our men's teams as well. And we put the video out on FA Cup final day in 2021, and it went down really well. We were very nervous, but it did end up going viral. And the comments we got made us realize that actually it wasn't just us, which sounds a bit silly now because obviously it's such a massive issue. But when you're feeling so isolated in something that you really love, it's so easy to feel alone. So we decided, well, there wasn't anyone out there helping us. So why don't we help ourselves? So Her Game Too was then born out of that. Very quickly afterwards, we partnered with teams like Bristol Rovers. Everton was our first Premier League partner, countless grassroots teams. That for me is incredible because that's where we need to be focusing our efforts as a nation, really, to ensure that the education is put in place to help people understand why girls have a place in sport, whereas previously it's never really been that way. I mean, for example, the FA banned women's football for 50 years. So we're slowly making the change 50, 60 years later into getting things into a good place. So that's how Her Game Too started. I love football. I always have, ever since I was 13. I liked football on and off as a child. I used to watch England with my dad. Um, and then when I went and played football at a soccer clinic at school, which was at the last week of school, we'd have an activities week. And I picked soccer clinic. I was the only girl to do so. I'd never kicked a ball in my life because I come from the Cotswolds. I basically come from a little bit outside the Forest Green Rovers area. And we had no girls' football teams. We didn't play football at school. There was no way for me to get into it. I was very shy when it came to sport because I'm not good at sport. I can't hit a racket and the ball. I've got no hand-eye coordination. And I wanted more people to get involved in sport. And I was turned down by my school to be a sports captain. Although that's why I wanted to be a sports captain in my reasoning. So I always felt like sport was never really for me because I wasn't good at it. But I ended up, my dad really persuaded me to do it because I loved it. And by the end of the week, I was scoring goals. I wasn't good still. I think they were letting them in, but that was great. And my love for football was really lit alive then. And then the biggest story personally that I have that I faced throughout my time as an adolescent was I applied, and my friend Jade and I applied to play football in Valencia, and we were turned down. We were told we couldn't go, but all the boys were allowed to go. So my dad advocated for us very strongly and wrote a very strongly worded letter to the headmaster and to Valencia. And we eventually were able to go on this trip. Although we weren't able to play in the matches, we still had the experience of going, training. I speak a tiny bit of Spanish. So I was speaking to the coaches in Spanish, and the whole immersive experience that I wouldn't have got without my dad advocating for me is something that I'll never forget.
And that is an amazing story, and it's so brilliant that you're doing something that you're so passionate about, but also that this is where, when there's a problem and it needs to be solved, people like you and your team go, no, this isn't good enough, this isn't right, and we want to make a difference. It's so inspiring. And it's the thing that comes to me for me. Obviously, I'm not female, so I don't know what that's like at all. It shouldn't be that hard. it shouldn't be that difficult for you to play football, enjoy football. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you tell us a bit more about the collaboration you've started with Leighton Park and how that's working and what the plans are for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Callum reached out to me. He'd sent me an email explaining about all the amazing work that Leighton Park do. And for me, it was a bit of a inspirational moment because I thought, wow, this is exactly what we would love to see every school do. And the incredible work that Callum and his team have done at Leighton Park is something that it's really inspiring. So as soon as he emailed me and let me know everything, I said, here's my number. Let's get on a call. Let's chat. How can we support you? What can Her Game 2 do to help Leighton Park? So we've just started this relationship now. And want to know how much more we can support them because the work they're doing is incredible. We have started to develop an educational pack for them as well so that they can deliver that in schools from a sexism point of view, what is and isn't sexist, where the girls can go for some support if they need it. But it's something that the amount of girls teams they've got and the amount of girls that are involved now in playing football, to me it says it's the right ethos because it's not just you can play because you're good, you can play because you want to play at Leighton Park, and that for me is the most important thing. As someone that's never been able to be good at sport, even no matter how hard I've tried, that's the one thing that I would always say is sport sometimes has this elite mentality, but actually sport should be fun and it should be available for everyone. So Leighton Park really encapsulate that and they're making that available for everyone.
When you work with a school or a club, so a school like Leighton Park or any of the grassroots clubs or the top clubs that you work with, what's the go-to thing that Her Game 2 do? Is it totally unique and dependent on who you're working with, or do you have kind of go-to areas that you do to support them and the girls that want to play these sports?
So it's so diverse and unique, really. For professional football clubs, for example, we hold dedicated fixtures. So that's where we have ball girls, flag bearers that are girls, just showcasing women in sport, really. We have our logo everywhere. We have supportive material in programs, just celebrating that football is a game for all at professional clubs. We do that once a season. We also work with grassroots clubs, either to support. Sometimes there may be some advice that they need, whether that's they need sanitary products in their kit bags or anything along those lines. We're sort of the voice piece or the voice of reason if they need anything, any advice. So we're almost like an advice center as well. But also a lot that happens is if there's ever an issue within sport, we always hear about it. And we have the connections now to be able to contact the right people and make sure something positive comes out of a situation. And I think that's really important because I think a lot of times something will happen. So our key USP, which is a horrible way of phrasing it, but something that we really are strong about is our reporting line. So on our website, we have a reporting line. So if you have an incident in Stadia or outside of Stadia, online, wherever it is, you can capture it on our reporting line. That can stay anonymous, or you can give your own personal details, and we will take it to the relevant club or the relevant authority. And we've had some really good success out of that. We've had some educational training for those that have committed quote unquote offences. And I think our key aim is educate people on why what they're saying is wrong and how actually can we move forward to make sure that everything's safer and more inclusive. With schools, Leighton Park is actually our first senior school partnership. So I think we're going to work together and understand what works best, but there'll definitely be some learning experiences for myself as someone that doesn't come from a school background. And there'll definitely be some amazing collaboration work where we can teach each other and hopefully support the young girls as much as we can.
That's amazing, and they do tend to be trailblazers in a lot of ways, Leighton Park, and they were definitely that for us at UHQ. Where can people find out more? I've obviously got the website scrolling down the bottom. where can people find out more about you, Her Game Too, social media? Where's the best place for people to go?
So the best places are our Twitter. So everything is at Her Game Too. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find anything about Her Game Too there, and of course our website. You're also able, if you'd like to support us, you can either join our Patreon. All profits go into grassroots football, whether that's buying kits or donating in any way that we can. And we also sell merchandise. I should have worn a hoodie. That's a really, I should have worn one of the Her Game 2 hoodies, but we have t-shirts and merch available as well. And me, I am just mainly on LinkedIn and Instagram. So I'm just Emily Drakeley.
Emily, thank you so much for joining me and telling us more about the amazing work you're doing with Her Game Too. I will definitely be following you and the work that you're doing, whether it's with Leighton Park or outside. It's fantastic what you do, and we'd love to kind of keep a close eye on what you're doing. And we will explore as well, and we are exploring how physical activity, sport, our big focus is mental health and well-being. That's a big part of what I used to do and what I still want to do. Sport is for all, and it doesn't matter whether you're good. I am the worst golfer in the world, but I will go out and still try and hit a golf ball, and I will get there. I just can't do it. But the idea with sport is you go out and play because it's fun. And yes,
Yeah.
if you're good, you can play at a good level. But if you want to play, you should play, and it should be accessible for everyone. And I think that's a really big thing that comes through from you. But thank you so much for telling us more about it, and take care.
No, thank you very much.